Growing up without emotional love doesn't just hurt in childhood. It rewires your brain in ways that follow you into adulthood. And if you didn't receive consistent emotional warmth, affection, or validation as a kid, there are 5 specific patterns you're probably still carrying today. Let's talk about what actually happens. Real quick, if this kind of psychology content resonates with you, subscribe and comment where you're from. It helps me keep making these. Alright, let's dive in. The invisible wound. Here's what developmental psychology has shown us. When a child doesn't receive consistent love, whether through neglect, emotional unavailability, or conditional affection, it creates what psychologists call attachment wounds. And these don't just fade with time. They shape how you see yourself, how you connect with others, and how you move through the world. Here are 5 ways this shows up. Pattern number 1. Hypervigilance in relationships. First, you become hypervigilant in relationships. Your nervous system learned early that love is unpredictable or conditional. So now, as an adult, you're constantly scanning for signs that someone's about to leave, lose interest, or withdraw affection. You overanalyze texts. You read into tone changes. You brace for abandonment even in stable relationships. It is exhausting, but it is not paranoia. It is a survival mechanism that made sense when you were a kid trying to navigate unpredictable emotional environments. Psychology calls this anxious attachment, and it stems directly from inconsistent early caregiving. Your brain is still trying to predict and control what it couldn't control back then. You're not being dramatic. You're being hyper-aware, because at some point, not paying attention meant getting hurt. Pattern number 2. You can receive love. The second effect is you struggle to actually receive love or compliments. Someone says something kind, and your immediate reaction is discomfort, disbelief, or the urge to deflect. Here is why. When you grow up unloved, your brain forms what is called a negative core belief. At a deep level, you internalize the message, I'm not worthy of love. So when someone offers it now, it clashes with that belief. It literally feels wrong. Your brain rejects positive input because it doesn't match your internal programming. And this creates a painful cycle. You crave love but can't hold it when it is given. You might even push away people who treat you well because their kindness feels destabilizing. It is not that you don't want love. It is that love feels dangerous because the last time you trusted it, it disappeared, or came with conditions, or was used to control you. So now, even genuine affection triggers your defense system. Pattern number 3. Overachieving to earn love. Number 3. You become an overachiever or a chronic people pleaser. If love was conditional growing up, you learned that your value depends on what you do, not who you are. So now you chase achievement, perfectionism, or constant helpfulness. You think, if I'm successful enough, helpful enough, good enough, then I'll finally be lovable. But it never feels like enough, because you're trying to earn something that should have been given freely. This is called earned secure attachment seeking, and it is exhausting. You're running a race that has no finish line, because external validation can't fix an internal wound. You could win a Nobel Prize and still feel like you're not enough, because the problem was never your performance. The problem was that someone made you believe love had to be earned, and now you can't stop trying to earn it, even from people who are offering it for free. Pattern number 4. Emotional numbness. Number 4 effect is you might experience emotional numbness when love wasn't safe or available. Your brain learned to shut down emotions as a protective strategy. If you don't feel, you can't be hurt. But now, as an adult, you find it hard to access deep emotions. You feel disconnected from yourself and others. Relationships feel shallow because you can't let yourself be fully present. It is not that you don't care. It is that caring once meant pain. So your nervous system learned to stay neutral. Psychologists call this dissociation or emotional blunting, and it is one of the most misunderstood effects, because from the outside you might seem fine, calm, unbothered. But inside, you're far away from yourself. You're watching your life happen instead of living it. And the worst part is that people mistake your numbness for strength. They say, you're so calm under pressure. They don't realize you're not calm. You're just not there. Pattern number 5. Fear of being a burden. And finally, the 5th effect is you carry a deep fear of being a burden. If your needs were ignored, dismissed, or treated as inconvenient as a child, you learned to minimize yourself. Now, you apologize constantly. You don't ask for help. You hide when you're struggling. You'd rather suffer alone than risk bothering someone, because at some point you internalized the belief that your existence, your needs, your feelings are too much. But here is what psychology wants you to know. Having needs doesn't make you a burden. It makes you human. The people who made you feel that way were wrong. And unlearning this is possible. But it requires you to do something that feels impossible. It requires you to ask for what you need and risk being disappointed. Again, because the truth is, some people will let you down. Some people won't show up, but not everyone. And the only way to find the ones who will is to stop hiding. You're not broken. If you recognize yourself in any of these 5 effects, I want you to know you're not broken. You adapted to survive a childhood that didn't give you what you needed. And recognizing these patterns, that is the first step toward healing them. But let's be honest about what healing actually looks like. It is not a transformation montage where you suddenly become confident and secure. It is messy. It is slow. It is catching yourself mid-spiral and choosing to respond differently. It is letting someone compliment you and not immediately deflecting. It is asking for help even though your whole body is screaming that you're being a burden. It is feeling love and not running. Even though running feels safer, healing doesn't mean you'll never feel these patterns again. It means you'll recognize them. And you'll have a choice. And some days you'll choose the old pattern because it is familiar. And that is okay, because healing isn't linear. It is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming aware. And awareness is power, because once you see the pattern, you can interrupt it. Once you understand why you're hypervigilant, you can remind yourself, this person isn't my parent. This situation isn't my childhood. Once you know why compliments feel wrong, you can practice saying thank you instead of deflecting. Once you recognize that you're people-pleasing to earn love, you can start asking, what do I actually want here? Once you understand your numbness, you can start slowly reconnecting with your emotions. Once you see your fear of being a burden, you can practice being visible anyway. It won't feel natural at first. It'll feel terrifying. But that is how you know you're doing something different. Something that breaks the cycle, the uncomfortable truth. Here is the part nobody likes to hear. You can't go back and get the childhood you deserved, the love you needed, the validation that should have been automatic. It is gone. And no amount of success, achievement, or external validation will fill that hole. But here is what you can do. You can learn to give yourself what you didn't receive. You can become the stable, loving presence your younger self needed. You can validate your own feelings. You can meet your own needs. You can stop waiting for permission to exist fully. And eventually you can let other people in, not to fix you, but to witness you, to see you, to love you for who you are, not what you do. And when that happens, it'll feel strange, because it is not what you're used to. But strange doesn't mean wrong. Sometimes strange just means new. For more psychology deep dives like this, check out my newsletter in the description. Every week I break down topics like trauma, attachment, and human behavior. No fluff, just real insight. Because you deserve to understand yourself. And understanding is the first step to freedom.